Gentlemen, what is going on today? My name is Ryan Mickler. I'm your host and the founder of the Order of Man podcast and movement. Welcome here today and welcome back. Glad you're here. I believe, yes, this is the last show of the year. And I thought I'd share with you today 5 of my biggest lessons learned. And hopefully I can implement some new ways of living my life. And also hopefully it serves you. And that's the point of the podcast. We want to give you all of the tools and the resources and conversations that you as a man need to thrive in your role as a husband, father, business owner, community leader, coach, mentor, friend, brother, etc. So I'm going to share these things with you in a minute. Also want to let you know that the Iron Council is still open. It's open for the next couple of days. So we're coming down to the wire as far as our last enrollment period as we roll into 2023. Now, a few questions that I've got is, what does the Iron Council entail? You can go watch a quick video at orderman.com/Iron Council. We've got the question of when it closes, which is the end of this year. So December 31st. When is it going to be open next? It won't be open until springtime of next year. So these are some of the questions. We get the other questions like discounts and can I get a free membership and that sort of thing. No, we ask all of our members to invest in themselves the same way as their brothers next to them are. So hopefully we'll see you inside. This is a great accountability tool. It's a great opportunity to band with other men who are connected with you, who want to have you win, who you want to have win. It's just a good way of connecting men together and succeeding on all fronts. So check it out at orderofman.com/Iron Council. All right, guys, let's get into my lessons learned. These aren't the only lessons I've learned, hopefully, in 2022. But these are a few of them. Number one is that I need to remain vigilant in all things. It's very, very easy for me personally. I'm just speaking for myself here. And I know it might sound selfish. It does when I say it. But my intention is that it hopefully somebody is not going through the same thing. But if they are dealing with the same things I am, that this will give them some tools to be able to deal with it. But I need to remain vigilant in my life because I've realized that when I do have success, and there's a lot of areas of life that I am fairly successful in, that it's easy for me to rest on my laurels. It's easy for me to assume that I have things figured out. It's easy for me to assume that I can just put certain facets and elements of my life on autopilot while I focus on others. And the problem with doing that is I end up neglecting projects, tasks, assignments, and people that are important in my life. So I have to remain vigilant towards all of the things, my family, my business, my finances, my fitness, my health, every aspect of my life, because if I don't, things will fall through the cracks. There is no autopilot. There's no way for me to set it on cruise control. It requires all of my attention, all of my energy, which also simultaneously forces me to consider how I spend my time and what commitments I make versus what commitments I choose not to engage in. So I have been a lot more selective because I want to remain vigilant with the things that are important in my life. I have gotten a lot more selective with what I say yes to. And I have gotten a lot better at saying no to the things that A, I don't want to do, and B, the things I know that I can't commit to because I have other obligations. And it isn't always about what I want to do. There are things in my life that I do that I don't want to do because it's important. That might be certain things with my family that I do because it's important to them. And so it's important to me. It might be charity. It might be these things that I don't always feel obligated or overly excited to do, but I do them because I want to be a giving person who adds value to his family, his friends, his community members. And so it's not just being selfish, it's being selective in how I spend my time so that I can dedicate it to the commitments that I've made. I actually think it's more selfish to say yes to everything because you don't want to say no to people and then drop the ball with them. That's selfish. It's selfish to, for example, if I'm going to pull an example out of my hat here, to volunteer to sit on the board of directors for a charitable organization if you know you can't dedicate the time that they need. Now you might be thinking, well, you know, I'm I'm being selfless. I'm serving. I'm helping this board. I'm helping this charity. Well, if you can't be there, then all you're doing is filling a seat that somebody else could have filled who can actually be there and be present and give more than you can presently give. So let's not fall into the trap of believing that we're being selfless when we step into these roles. It's actually more selfish to do so. Selflessness, a better way, I think, in this situation is to say, no, I am not going to do that. I would like to do that. That is important to me. I can donate money. I can contribute in different ways, but I'm not going to do that because I know I can't commit to the time that you need. That's a better response than committing to doing it and then dropping the ball. So remaining vigilant has been very, very crucial for me as we wind down 2022 and wrap up 2023. And I've taken a deep inventory of my life, and I've decided to place heavy emphasis and focus on certain areas that I have attempted to set on cruise control and eliminated other aspects of my busyness altogether. Number two is that I have an addictive personality. I feel like I've always danced around this issue. I feel like I've always known that I have this personality, but it really came to a head in 2022. And I've explained it on this podcast and on social media that I was battling alcoholism for the last couple of years. And I feel so much better. Let's see, August, September, October, November, December. So 5 months sober now. I feel better. I feel lighter. I'm in better shape. My energy levels are higher. I'm able to give more energy to things that are important to me. I'm able to remain more vigilant, as I was talking about in point one, because I've realized that my addictive personality and nature doesn't generally serve me well. It can. I'm going to talk about that here in a second. But it's very easy for me to latch onto a behavior, in this case, drinking and getting drunk, well, number one, I just become addicted. I think that's the personality, but at the root of why I chose alcohol is because it allowed me an escape. It allowed me to detach to a degree from the pressure and the weight of life. And this ties into point number one. I was doing so much and I felt like I had to be everything to everybody and I could never shut off my mind. And the only way that I could figure it out was to drink. And when I was drunk, it was great to a degree because I didn't have to worry about that. Now I created another set of issues that I'm working on, but yeah, that was my escape. And what I've come to realize is rather than turning to alcohol, which is literal poison that I was putting into my body for years, that I could simply learn to say no. I could simply learn to set up some boundaries. I could simply learn to focus only on the things that were important to me and let the rest go and not feel like I was the one that had to carry all of that weight. But my addictive personality is still there. And I need to be very aware of my ability to focus and have some real focus on a task versus it becoming a problem with target fixation. Like, this is the thing I'm going after, and I'm going to leave a wake of collateral damage in my path, and I'm going to go wholeheartedly into this thing at the expense of everything else. So I need to realize, and I will continue to realize, that my addictive personality can be a real menace in my life, but it can also be a real value add if I learn to have healthy boundaries set up, if I learn to direct my ability to focus towards productive outcomes that serve myself and the people that I care about. And that I need to be very, very aware and very cautious of allowing negative behaviors or beliefs or things creep into my life, because I will latch onto them and I will go all in on those things. I don't dabble. I never have in any aspect of my life. When I started talking about alcoholism, I had a few people ask about, have I ever tried to regulate it within moderation or just, not get drunk, just have a few drinks? I don't do that. It's not my personality. I'm not going to dabble, even in the bad things. If I'm in 100%. So complete avoidance is important for me. So I'm learning that. Number three is trying to have a heart of service. I feel like most of my life has been selfish. Most of my life has been for selfish pursuits. I think I've convinced myself and maybe even others to a degree that I'm doing it for other people. And, I certainly have in aspects of my life, but a lot of the last several years have felt, as I go back and review and think about the way that I've shown up, have been very selfish. And in the wake of me coming to this realization, based on some difficult conversations with my wife and people closest to me about my alcoholism, I've realized that I have been selfish. And I also realize that I have been feeling down because of some past choices and decisions I've made. And what has got me feeling better is now taking that information and giving it to you, sharing it with other people, talking with other people about what they're going through, and figuring out a way to serve others. Somebody asked me on the Ask Me Anything just a couple of days ago about how to get over it when you're feeling down. Well, the best way to do that is to have a heart of service, to serve other people, to get so consumed in helping people with what they need and what they have and what they don't have, and how you might be able to add value to their life, that you don't actually have to focus on what you don't have or what you're doing wrong. Now, we do need to focus on that to a degree. I'm going to get into that in point number 5, but man, this heart of service, I just feel better. I'm sorry for the banging and clanging going around. In fact, I'm going to probably stop and pause this video and then come back and start it back up once I tell my boys to stop bouncing around upstairs. All right, guys, I'm back. Sorry, I had to take that quick break to get after my son, who was banging around with he got a little basketball hoop that he has on his door upstairs, and he was up there doing that. So I had to tell him to stop while I was on a podcast. Anyways, I was talking about having this heart of service and how through serving others, I felt better about myself, and frankly have been able to get over a lot of the decisions that I've made in the past that have hurt people, by rectifying that situation and trying to serve others. Number 4 is I've had to get better at enlisting the help of other people. A lot of you guys have messaged me and suggested that, you heard a change in my voice or a change in my tone over the past several months, not for the better, but that you could tell something was wrong. And obviously I've talked a little bit about that with the alcoholism, and there was a lot of things wrong that I'm working to rectify and correct. But in the meantime, I've realized that I have good people around me, that I have cultivated those relationships. They believe in me. They are influenced by me. They want to serve. And I have not allowed them to do that because of my own vanity and my own pride. And I've realized that as we as men struggle, it's okay to accept help from somebody. It's okay to accept their contribution or their service. Too often we as men don't, because we think if we do and we can't handle it on our own, that we're weak. Well, I've got news for you. We can't handle everything on our own, and you're not meant to, because if you could handle everything on your own, then there would be no reason to build relationships with important people, your wife, your kids, friends, colleagues, coworkers, clients. You would not have a need for them. But this is the beautiful way of building community that God has created for us, in that you are inadequate. You don't have it all figured out. You aren't perfect, and neither is anybody else around you. But in those imperfections, we realize that we need other people around us, that there might be elements of their life that they can help you with that you cannot help for yourself. And isn't that a beautiful thing? I mean, isn't that the point of, if we're talking about a marriage, if you could do it all on your own, you wouldn't have a need for her, but you can't. And so you find a woman, hopefully, and this is the goal here, you find a woman who doesn't complete you. I wouldn't use that terminology, but you find a woman who is strong in the areas where maybe you lack, and she can help. And you develop a partnership, a romantic partnership, where you're intimate with each other and you care about each other and you serve each other and you help and you challenge in healthy and constructive ways. so that you both get better. That applies to a romantic relationship. That applies to a business relationship, a client boss, or excuse me, an employee boss relationship, a client solutions. I can't even think of the term, but you know, if you have a client, you know, obviously there's got to be a partnership. Both people have to be served. And what I've realized is that I have not allowed other people to serve because I wanted to be the one who had it all figured out. And as I let go of my ego and I allowed other people into my life and I allowed other people to step up, there was some instances that I've been pleasantly surprised with their performance. And I feel proud because I created the space for them to do that. But if I occupy all of that space, what room do they have to grow? What room do they have to try? What room do they have to struggle? And through the struggles come the lessons. Well, they don't, because you're hogging it all. And so I've had people step up within our organization. I've had people step up in my personal life, and I have opened my arms and I have embraced it and I have accepted it. And by the way, who am I to reject the gift of somebody else? If somebody can serve in some way, because I talked about this at point number 3, the heart of service. If I want to serve other people, who am I to deny the desire that other people have to serve me? If my wife wants to do something nice for me, I need to create the space so that she can do that, so she feels pride in that. If my kids want to give me a gift of either their time or their attention or their words or a present, who am I to say your gift is not good enough for me? If I have a colleague or a coworker or even a friend who says, hey man, I'm here to support you. You've been struggling with this particular thing, and I know you're struggling. Let me come see you. Or let me pick up the slack in your business. Or let me handle this aspect of things. Who am I to say no? I want to serve because I know how I feel. And who am I to deny that opportunity from somebody else? Enlisting the help of others has felt so good to me over the past several months because I needed the help. I truly did. I did not realize I needed it, but I did need it. I needed the help. They needed to serve. And through us fulfilling both of those things, we found solutions to our problems. And the last thing here, guys, is that I've learned to, and I am learning to, I will continue to learn how to process my deep emotional baggage. And there is a lot. And I didn't realize how much there was because I suppressed it. I pushed it down. I hid it. I medicated with alcohol. Like I did a lot of different things so that I wouldn't have to bring up past issues that were concerning for me or that were hard for me to deal with. And the thing that I've been able to do lately is journaling, writing down. And I talked about this on a previous Friday Field Notes with remaining or the pathway to emotional sovereignty. I believe that was last week. I talked about the power of journaling and documenting and writing these things down and keeping track of why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling and starting to uncover those and asking those questions. And when I feel triggered emotionally, asking myself, why am I upset right now? So for example, earlier in this video, you guys may have heard the bouncing or the banging upstairs. My son was upstairs in his room, bouncing his little basketball. 3-4 months ago, I may have unloaded on him. I may have yelled at him. Why? Why am I so upset? Why does that upset me so much? This time I went up there and I said, hey, who's up there? And he said he was up there. I said, I need you to stop bouncing the basketball because I'm on a call. And he's like, oh, okay, thanks. Or, oh, okay, well. And I said, thank you. And that was it. I wasn't mad. I wasn't angry. I wasn't upset. I wasn't triggered by what he was doing. I don't think he was out to get me. But 4 months ago, I would have thought that. So what's changed? Processing my emotions, feeling them fully, beginning to uncover why I feel the way I feel, why certain things that shouldn't trigger me actually do. What a powerful lesson it's been. Somebody mentioned I did a Instagram video earlier this morning about a little experience I had getting flipped off by a guy who was hitchhiking. He wanted a ride from me. I didn't give him a ride. He flipped me off. It's kind of funny actually, because he felt entitled. Anyways, I started to do that video and somebody had commented, you look lighter. And I don't think they were talking about my weight, my physical weight. I think they were talking about my presence, my persona. And I feel lighter. I don't feel burdened down with everything that I was burdened down with before. Guilt and alcoholism and poison in my body which has been purged from my body. And now I'm exercising and I'm working the emotional baggage that I have, and I'm exploring it and uncovering it and figuring it out. And I feel lighter. I feel better. And I show up more fully and more effectively for myself and for other people. It's been a very painful Q4, to put it mildly, of 2022. And as we move into 2023, there might be some residual pain that I'm going to need to deal with. But I feel like through these lessons, I've begun to make it more manageable. And not just managing it, but actually working towards solutions that are going to last not for the next 12 months, but for the next 12 years, the next 20 years, the next 40, hopefully, years of my life. So those are the lessons that I've learned. And I have plenty more. And I'm sure I'll need to learn these lessons over and over and over and over again. But being aware of the lessons that we've learned helps us to come up with solutions, not short-term fixes or temporary band-aids like alcoholism, for example, but real solutions to our real challenges. So what I would challenge you to do, if you have not done this already, is to go to Walmart or jump on Amazon and buy yourself a blank notepad. And every day I want you to write in it. And I'm not going to really give you any prompts. I can give you a couple ideas, but you can figure it out. Write down what you're grateful for. Write down lessons that you learned. Write down the way that you feel about an experience that you had. Write down where those feelings come from. If you're feeling triggered, write down why you're feeling that way. If there's a lesson that you learned, jot that down. If there's a lesson you want your kids to learn at some point, jot that down. If you had a memorable experience or day, write that down. If you had a horrible day, write that down. Purge it, get it out so you can begin to process it. Do that. Think about, also, I would say, write down the lessons that you've learned so that you can begin to process not just the lesson, but the solution. So here they are again, guys. Number one is that for me, again, these are mine. Hopefully they serve you, is that I need to remain vigilant in all things. Number two is that I have an addictive personality and I need to remain not only vigilant about that, but direct that towards productive and healthy outlets. Number three, that I need to stop being so selfish and begin to develop even more so a heart of service. Number four, enlist the help of others. I don't have it figured out. I'm not supposed to have it all figured out. And I am not anybody to deny somebody's opportunity to serve me or anybody else. And number five is I need to continue to work on processing deep emotional baggage so that I can let that stuff go and I can move forward with a clear conscience. That's what I've got for you today. Sounds like they're bouncing around again up there, so might need to get a little bit more stern, but we'll get it taken care of. Guys, I appreciate you as we capped out 2022. We had a phenomenal year, best year we've ever had, from the amount of listeners, the amount of downloads, the amount of Iron Council members, the impact that we're making, book sales. I mean, you name it. On this front, things are firing on all cylinders. We're going to continue to innovate. We're going to continue to put good information out into the world. I'm going to continue to serve you and give you the tools I think will help. I'm going to continue to get better. And I feel like as I work on my own self-development, that I can naturally and inevitably help you work more efficiently and effectively on yours. So we are now into we will be in a couple of days, 2023. So guys, let's keep getting after it. Let's do the work that we need to do. Let's think about the lessons that we learned from 2022. And let's make 2023 our best year ever. We'll be back next week. Until then, go out there, take action, and become the man you are meant to be.